There we go. Oh, it's a mess in here. Absolute mess in here. I did a case break last night, and I've not recovered. I am trying to get up and running here. I'm having issues with chat integration. I'll jump on. Why not? I'm having trouble with chat integration. CM, I see you over there on YouTube. Is anybody here on Twitch, or can I just not see the Twitch chat right now? That'd be upsetting. That'd be unfortunate. Oh, there you go. Okay. It's working. Okay. Hey, Ryan. Ryan, I have a feeling that you have opinions about today. I saw some of them. Ryan, you always have opinions, though. Goodness gracious. So many opinions. Yeah. Give me a few minutes to get like settled in and maybe I can do some things. Let me vent for a minute, and then if you're still on later, we'll chat. Yeah, in the case. Sorry, Why Not Air says, I love the case bulk still on the desk. Yeah, it hasn't moved. Full disclosure, I filmed that video. I finished it at 1 a.m. like filming. And which then resulted in me sleeping on the couch while I was editing, and it was a whole big thing. But I basically stopped filming and then left. And yeah, this is all still here. It's only a matter of time tonight before I accidentally hit this and it goes everywhere, all over the floor. So yeah, my organization system here is terrible. So you need a potato, because I saw you got a potato. Did you play the potato though? That's the trick. Cause that. Send me the picture though. I'll take a look. For sure. Wait. So Just Racer Dad says on YouTube that just got home from LGS pre-release. Lots of fun, but his pre-release kit didn't have a promo card in it. That is kind of a bummer. If I had any extras, I'd send you one. I'll tell you what, I'll send you a promo card from Wilds Unknown if it'll help. I got lots of those. But I've got, yeah, that's a bummer though. Anyway. Zero voice mic'd. I did see that picture. I know exactly who that is. They sent it to me. Yeah, Zero voice or Mike saying over on Twitch that someone won a pre-release with a potato shift. Yeah, tracking. Lee, thanks so much for the subscribe. That really helps because I've had a lot of expenses in the last few days, and so the sub is really appreciated. Like, thank you so much. Yeah, okay. So this is where we're at. This is where we're at right now. Yeah, I appreciate you, Lee. Always. This is where we're at right now. So it's Wilds Unknown, or not Wilds Unknown, it's Attack of the Vine release weekend, and I've got Bulk sitting on my desk, and I've got wrappers still all over the floor, and I've got a pre-release event on Sunday, and then there's the Curator Collection thing, which happened, and that happened. I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad you sent them a note, Racer Dad. It's good that they know that happened, even if like they can't do anything about it. Like putting that on their radar is huge. What do you all think about Curator Collection? Like, I'm interested in everybody's opinions, even if it's like your opinion of the product in general. Like, there's so many things we could talk about, whether it's, you know, just the idea of like secret lair type products, which I don't dislike. But then there's the distribution method, physical stores, and you know, geo-locked locations versus online, like print runs. So many things that resulted in today. Yeah, I'm interested in what everybody else thinks. It's so tough in these situations because there's so much emotion involved, and there's so much emotion involved, and the reality is that there's no you know, and this is with anything in life, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. There's also very few like evil people. I don't think much of the folks who pushed to the front of the line in London. That I think borderlines on somebody being a bad person, but I don't know. I think that for all the things bad that happened today, you know, the fact that this collection exists, the fact that there's new cards with beautiful art, the fact that in some places it was pseudo successful, and the fact that I think we all learned a lot, and I think the people running the distro learned a lot. Perhaps there's some good to come out of it, and at the end of the day, there's some beautiful cards that exist. Yeah, just tired. I know, man. I see. I was following your post all day. You know, Dan James. You know, I was. So you were a trooper, and yet you got some stuff. The thing about EQL. So I see a lot of people. So here's the thing. I see a lot of people saying that EQL, like the online queuing system, is the best way to go, and that is ostensibly true. That is probably the most fair way to do any sort of sale. The other fair way, frankly, is to do print to demand. And that is something that is possible. It takes a lot of lead time and logistics, and people have to be willing to wait for, if you don't own the printer, people have to be willing to wait for like 4 to 6 months. But like, you can do print to demand orders, and just take all the orders and print them. And that is probably the most fair way, the best way to make sure that you're meeting demand. Print runs, you know, will be, yeah. Anyway, the other way is the EQL system, which we've seen, where everybody goes into a queue, and you get assigned a random number, and you get spit out the back end and end up in line, and you get product or you don't get product. That's also probably a fair way to do it. The thing with that, and this is not a bad thing, it's just the implication, or what happens is, you know, let's say the print run of these sets are, I don't know, 50,000. You know, with 15,000 on each coast in the United States, and a certain other amount, you know, at the other geographically located stores. 50,000 with worldwide demand, like, they'd be gone. Well, not that they'd be gone because you mean EQL, but the percentage of people who would get them would be incredibly low, which might be fine. Like, it would be fair, it might be fine, but what would happen is you'd have, you know, a couple 100,000 people enter the queue, and, you know, a quarter would get the product. But yeah, it's probably the most fair way. you know, but the problem is that clearly, or they could print more boxes. You could print more boxes, you know, but keep in mind that the number of boxes printed here was decided way before the big boom here. Of course, the D23 set launch, like, was also huge demand. So, you know, it wasn't this scale, but yeah. Hey. Okay. Music too loud. Got it. Yeah, so I'm catching my comments here. Everybody wants the aerial. Yeah, background music too loud. Sorry, turn it down. Let me know if it's still too loud. Hey, okay, I gotta catch my comments here before I continue my thoughts. Everybody wants aerial. I know, I agree. It's probably my favorite. Somebody said, oh yeah, the potato challenge. There's a potato challenge I'm doing, by the way. People are talking about here. I'm gonna work on some sort of prize. I ordered some plastic potatoes to do this, and they're way too small. So now I'm thinking about turning them into pins, like badges, like gym badges, and I'm gonna send them out. You don't have to shift the potato to do it. All you need to do is play the potato in a pre-release game. So it's not even that challenging. If you get a potato in your pre-release packs, or you trade for one, it's probably not legal for pre-release, but if you get a potato in your pre-release packs and you play it in a game, take a picture, send it, and you know, we'll talk about it on Monday night, and maybe send you a little potato thing if I can get that figured out. Former retail worker to major U.S. stadium. Yeah, the employees, I mean, the frontline workers are really, I mean, really the ones who bear the brunt of all of this, right? And good on them, because they don't get paid anything extra, you know, for dealing with the craziness. Just sucks. Print to demand. Yeah, print to demand is really the way to go with this kind of thing, to be quite honest. The problem is that it requires about 5 to 6 months lead time, and significant, like, logistics. Although even the logistics isn't that bad, because you already have warehouses and things like that set up for your normal, you know, website ordering system. So you can just plug the orders into there. But you need about, again, like 5 to 6 months lead time, and you have to have the printers reserved, and it's a whole thing. But you can do it, and it's probably, to be honest, is probably the best way to do this. There's something else on this note that I want to talk about in a moment, because, like, it's the way to do this depending on what your goal is. Yeah. Been looking everywhere for stuff for the new release. Haven't found it anywhere. Did they shut down Amazon for purchases? I got everything there. Trove's last set. No, they did not. So big box and including online retailer sales don't start for another week. So this is the pre-release week, and the next weekend is when big box stores like Amazon and stuff will get their product. You will see stuff on, now here's the thing. You will see stuff on Amazon probably early. I think that people are allowed to list secondary market stuff on there. So if you see product on there early, it's a secondary market seller who's selling through Amazon's platform, which I think you can still do with TCGs. I'm not positive. All that is to say, like, the actual official distribution through big box retailers and online retailers won't start until next weekend. So if you're looking for it there, that's where it'll go. Pre-order raffle is a realistic suggestion. Yeah, I agree. That's like EQL. Yeah. It is not all in store. It is all in local game stores. Again, big box retailers will see that their stuff later. Yeah, so here's the thing, OneTech. And Andy Hutch says, greetings from 30,000 feet, as he's flying in an airplane, I assume, or a hot air balloon or a Zeppelin, but clearly in the air. Appreciate you for watching. Anyway, so here's the thing. And some of you are getting at this. I'm going to talk about a couple of people are. One, you know, some folks saying they really hate the park exclusives where you have to live near there to get the product. I get it. Somebody else saying, yeah, print to demand kills the value with supply to demand. That's also true. Because the thing we have to ask ourselves as we talk about improving this is, like, what's the goal? You know, I'm a strategist by trade. I'm a strategic planner. And with strategy, you know, your goal is to align, you know, ends, ways, and means. But you always start with your ends, like, what are you trying to achieve? And so, and oftentimes it's multiple things. With this sale, if the goal is to get Curator's Collection into the hands of every single Disney Lorcana player and collector who wants it, there's a route that you go, right? If that is what your end is, it's like, I want every dedicated Lorcana player who wants this product to have a copy of this product. There is a means and a ways, there's a route that you go in order to achieve that objective. It's probably print to demand, there's probably things you do. Of course, there may be logistics issues that prevent you from doing that preferred course of action, but you do have a preferred course of action. The problem is that the goal here, there's other competing interests, right? It's drive attention to the parks, do park exclusives so people are excited about physical locations. It's serving certain markets, it's perhaps, and we don't know, but perhaps this is a test case. We haven't done a product just like this before. We have done the D23 set, which are extended versions of existing artwork, and we have done the D100 set, which is alt art that was done through retailers. This is an alternate version that's done like the D23 set through parks and select few locations. So we haven't seen anything like this. So it is also true that one of the ends may be to test certain aspects of this, to test demand before investing heavily. So like the question is, what's the goal? And what are the ends that everybody here is trying to achieve? Because the other thing is, there's also potentially a goal, which is just, create hype. And at the end of the day, it is true that no news is bad news, or that there is no, all publicity is good publicity. And it's kind of true. So like at the end of the day, I think, I would love a world in which, every Disney Lorcana player who is a passionate collector, like gets their hands on this product. But we have to acknowledge that there are other interests at play here, and that for all intents and purposes, as rough as things went today, there were global headlines about Disney Lorcana's launch and how much people wanted it. And so, I don't know, it's a thing. Haven't seen any pre-orders for the new set on Amazon. I don't think it's come out. Yeah, it's interesting. I can't remember when pre-orders used to come out for these, so I'm not sure if we're behind or not. But I will say that there seems to be a preference this launch for brick and mortar retailers with OP that are OP Play stores. I've heard, this is all just conjecture. This is all, rumor and what I've heard talking to different game stores. Like OP game stores, most of them that I've talked to seem to be fine with their allocation. People who have had trouble with allocations are ones that like perhaps don't have a physical location, or are digital only, or are not OP stores, which seem to have gotten less allocation. And so it is possible that stock has kind of been preference towards more physical locations this time, and that we won't quite see as many through Amazon. I don't know, it's just a speculation. No excuse for what happened today, says Kirby. DCI commissioner, Disney should have not allowed the launch to happen like this. Yeah, I mean definitely should have had more. Here's the thing, like, I think people who are not in the TCG space sometimes conflate our product with other products that they've seen. So Disney is used to exclusive drops of various types of merchandise and pins and things like that, and all sorts of limited merchandise. And so to give you like another example, like Gen Con, right? Back in the day, Gen Con was used to limited products. There have always been limited edition products at Gen Con. Like the first 100 people to the booth get this special figure for this game, or the first 50 people to this booth get a coupon to allow you to do a thing. They've also done TCG launches at Gen Con where the first 100 people get a thing. So when the initial Gen Con launch happened, from what I understand and just what I saw, Gen Con with their "we don't do lines" mentality was basically saying, hey, look, we're used to this. We've seen this before. What's the big deal? So you're launching a TCG. There have been hundreds of these things. But anybody who is paying attention, like for 5 seconds to the Disney Lorcana space, if you were in it, you knew exactly what was going to happen. Like, we could have told you that. We knew what was coming. And so when Line Kana happened, like, everybody who was there was like, of course this happened. Of course the way you handled this was terrible, Gen Con, right? I feel like people keep falling into that trap with Disney Lorcana, and with TCGs in general. You saw it at the Van Gogh, like, what museum was it with the Van Gogh Pikachu? Same thing. Because people are like, hey, limited edition products, we've seen it. You haven't seen it until you've seen it in TCGs, because the liquidity and the money involved is just bigger. And so I feel like, what probably happened is, these physical Disney locations being used to this idea of limited products and thinking, okay, yeah, we've dealt with this before, we know what we're doing. They just didn't understand the current demand. And so easy systems that could have been put into place, like tickets handed out and things like that, they just chose not to take the extra steps. And the other problem is too, like in some of these large corporations, like the decision, like who's the decision maker, right? Is it the frontline retailers or the managers of these stores selling these products who can be like, you know what, I'm going to institute a queuing system or a ticket system? Or does that person not have that power? Where in the bureaucracy is the decision made to take extra precautions on a particular day? And that's part of the problem here too, is we're dealing with large bureaucracies who you have to find the person in the bureaucracy with the power to make the decisions to have extra staff on hand, to hire security, to put tickets in place, to put stanchions in place, to take all of those extra precautions that we think would have helped at some of these locations. You have to find the person with the authority to make those decisions because they're expensive. And then that person has to be equipped with the knowledge that they need to make those decisions. And sometimes in these bureaucracies, the people with the knowledge, like, oh my goodness, this is going to be real, aren't the people who have the power. And so you have, anyway, I think that's partially what we're dealing with here too. But hopefully, I think the outcry today, like the public outcry and this being in the Daily Mail in the UK is probably a little bit of a wake-up call, that the next time this happens, at the very least, you need to look like you're taking it seriously. And if stuff happens, but if you don't treat this like it is an exceptional event, then at some point you lose the trust of the customers, that are you lose the trust, bottom line. So anyway, it's interesting because, Lee brings up the point on Twitch here. Realistically, with the Oxford debacle and how it's picked up traction, even more eyes are on Lorcana now. If at anything at this point, it's all going to get worse before it gets better. But it also depends on what you mean by worse. But for sure, having your TCG on the front page of a major newspaper in England about, riots and folks, scalpers and everybody pushing their way to the front of lines and them canceling sales and Disney, like that is going to create hype. It is. And that's good and bad. At the end of the day, like, let's say, it can get worse, Kirby. It can get a whole bunch worse. Because remember, there were places today where the sale, how many negative stories did we all hear coming out of Dublin? I didn't hear any. I think it sounded like Dublin went just, swimmingly. So the thing is, like, it's this type of hype is good and it's bad. If, let's say hypothetically, our metric for success for Disney Lorcana, how well it's doing, is that we want to see demand just outstrips supply. And the reason you don't necessarily want supply and demand equal is because this is a collector game, right? And if every single person who wanted a particular card was able to get that card, the cards would not be worth anything. And then the value proposition of a TCG falls apart. Because frankly, the value proposition of a TCG is I can spend money on this hobby, I can buy these cards, and if at some point I want to cash out, I can cash out. Not that I will get all of my money back, not that it's a one-for-one return, but at the end of the day, it's not like me going and spending money on something where I'm getting nothing back, or buying things that have no value. You know, I spend money on cardboard, and if next week I'm like, oh, you know, never mind, I'm bored of this cardboard, I can go give my binder of cards, my boxes of cards to an LGS, and they'll give me back some money, or I can sell them or whatever. And so that value proposition really has to exist. So let's say that a successful sale today, we think, is like, you know, 100,000 people want these cards, there are 50,000 available. The 50,000 people got these cards through EQL or whatever, and everybody else has to like pay on the secondary market or whatever. Let's say hypothetically that that's what we think success is. It could even be, you know, 100,000 people want these cards, 95,000 people were able to get them, 5,000, you know, are going to look in the secondary market. Like, what we really want for Lorcana is to take those numbers and to amplify them, and right? Because what we really want is we want 1 million people to want these cards, and 900,000 can get them, because that's when the game is like really doing well and it's going to be around for the long haul. And although it feels bad, you know, I know for some people, like when we say that we want this game on the scale of Pokemon, it feels bad because we know what Pokemon is like. It's not saying that we want that culture, but if we want this game to be around 30, 40 years, like, we want it to grow. And so the hype, and the press and the Daily Mail and people coming out to, you know, to make a buck because they know how successful this product is going to be, like, it feels really bad, but at the same time, there are elements of the hype that are good, for demand for this game, which, you know, we want. You know, to take it down to another level, and Kirby, totally, you have a right to be jaded, Kirby. Kirby says on Twitch, long day. Kirby was down fighting in the crowds like a lot of you at Disney, and walked away with a little bit, I think, of what you wanted, but not much. So appreciate it. Please be jaded. Like, everybody has a right to be jaded, especially if you were standing out in that Florida weather, and the humidity. When I say it's a necessary evil, I'm not sure what in particular we're referring to, but I think what you're referring to, Lori, is so I guess the question is it possible to have a wildly successful TCG without, like, scalper culture? And it's tough. That's the problem. It's tough. I think it probably is, to be honest. I think if you did, you know, secret layer type products and things like that through EQL or through print to demand, and you had a lot of these promo cards printed that way, where you're making money, you know, to demand, off people just buying these products, and a lot of your collectible value is in, like, prize cards, I think it's possible. But anytime you want to introduce something interesting, something fun, something geo-locked, like a cruise promo, or a Disney park, you know, magical places promo, or even the puzzle promos. By the way, did you all notice during the recent rush, like, puzzles were being bought out because people wanted to grade those promo cards? Like, anytime you introduce those things, it's very, very difficult to prevent, you know, the scalpers from coming out, because as soon as the problem you have with TCGs is there's this, I'm not sure how to describe it in mathematical terms, but like, if supply is very, very so it's very, very difficult for supply to hit demand dead on. Because as soon as you get close to supply hitting demand, it's very, very easy for scalpers to come in and profit seekers and snag up just a bit of that supply and all of a sudden create a shortage and inflate prices. It's very, very difficult to hit that right on the head, or right on the nose. So I don't know. It's an interesting, like, almost philosophical question. Like, can you have a successful TCG or even any product with collectability without scalpers trying to exploit market inefficiencies? And I don't know. Maybe not. How do you minimize it, I think, is the question. I don't know. Scalpers will always be there, yes. The problem with it, Lori says, the problem with that is if I want something that is only being sold by scalpers. Yeah, that's the problem, you know, and that goes to some of the, you know, the rhetoric you see today on social media. It's like, hey, if people just didn't buy from scalpers, the prices would go down. Yeah, 100%. But the price, like, then you don't get the product, you know? It's tough. I will say one thing. I will draw a distinction, and I know some people disagree because I saw some heated Facebook comments today, but this is my opinion. I will draw a distinction between a Disney Lorcana fan who buys an extra box set to sell in order to fund the hobby, and, you know, scalpers who do not care about the game, who are going to go buy as many boxes as possible and then sell like 15 of the money back. People who are there to simply exploit the market inefficiency and do not care about the game and do not care about the fans and simply want to make money is a different thing than somebody who I think is in a position to pay for some of their hobby by buying an extra box. And I know people disagree with this, but the problem is, you know, there's a lot of people who love, you know, their hobbies, who love this game, who love TCGs, and resources, money, everything. Oh, you're heading to bed? Good night. Aaron says good night. YouTube and Twitch chat say good night, I think. And resources are limited, especially in this economy. Like any given month, you know, everybody only has so much money to devote to cardboard, and they have hundreds of cards that they want. You know, some people want to grade. Everybody has this giant wish list of cards that they wish they owned. And that's in every TCG. And you only have so much money to spend. So if you're in a position, let's say, where your disposable income is, you know, $100 a month, you know, which it is for a lot of people. Let's say it's $500 a month. That's what you can spend. That means that perhaps you can buy, you know, a certain amount of sealed product, or you can buy, you know, or you can buy unenchanted or 2 every single month. And so over the course of a year, you can collect 12 enchanteds of the cards that you really, really want. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if that same person was like, you know what, I'm going to buy, you know, multiple enchanteds. I'm gonna grade one. I'm gonna sell one in order to double my money, to buy another 2 cards over here, and then I'm gonna take this card and I'm gonna, you know, flip it over here, and I'm gonna buy, you know, 4 boosters. I'm gonna buy a case of Attack of the Vines, and I'm gonna open 2, and I'm gonna leave those other 2 boxes over here, and I'm gonna sell those 2 boxes later in order to fund a case for the next set. Like, this is how you find ways in the hobby to support your hobby and to advance your collection. And I see nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that's fun. If people are trading and trading up and finding ways to collect more of the cards that they love. And so when somebody spends a significant amount of money to go to these drops, and they're at the counter and they have a choice between 1 or 2, and they buy 2 with the intent of selling the other one, I honestly have a hard time judging them too harshly when that money is likely to be used to support their Lorcana hobby, which they enjoy. I think it's a very, very different thing than people who are there simply to exploit the community. That's just my opinion. And there were some crazy Facebook debates today, and definitely people who disagree with me. And if you disagree with me, I no issues with it. Because I understand the counter argument, which is, you know, if you are at the counter and you can buy two, that's potentially somebody, you know, 300 people back who's going to be heartbroken. I understand that argument too. So I get it. But I think that's, you know, I'm not saying that it's inherent, like one's inherently, either decision is inherently worse or better, but I can empathize with the person who is going to buy an extra box in order to fund their collection. And I do not think on a scale of badness that is at the same level as somebody who's buying purely for financial profit, who has no interest in this hobby or the community whatsoever. Anyway. Yeah. When Sam says, when I see people in the community who had paid employees stand in line with them, I definitely think that's scummy. Yeah. Who paid employees? Like, oh, interesting. Like they paid their own employees to say, yeah, I don't like that. I do not like, yeah, Lee, I think one or two. Yeah. I don't think, you know, I don't like the idea of somebody buying, like, so Paris, for example, the purchase limit was like 8. At that point, it seems excessive. Like if I'm a Lorcana fan and I want a box for myself, like that's what I'm going to keep. And I buy 7 of them to flip. That one feels a little worse to me, especially if there's a huge line behind me. I'm comfortable with like 1 or 2 extra. I don't know. At some point that, yeah. Because if 8 is the limit, like if you're allowed to buy 8 or you're allowed to buy 20 and you buy all 20, you know, to do what I just said, that's a lot of people behind you that aren't getting product. I think I draw a line there. There's levels of, you know, badness for this, but, yeah, there were some crazy hauls. Anyway, yeah, somebody's saying, where's Jeebus? It's hard to someone that they shouldn't spend $100 on $500 if they have the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean that's everything that I said, but you know, cleaner. Here's the other thing to keep in mind too, and this kind of goes to what I was saying. Like, nobody who doesn't have to, like, I'll acknowledge that pretty much everybody who engages with TCGs, right? We all have disposable income, right? I mean, we're not giving up food for TCGs. There might be some people who are, but in general, like, we all have some disposable income again. So this is a luxury hobby, and I will acknowledge that. But also, like, we all have our own means, our own, you know, whatever. And so somebody coming at this game and facing that decision to turn $100 into $500, who is in a very different financial position from me, who could really use that $500, it's hard to judge that. But again, I will say I do draw a distinction between people who are, like, you know, there for love of the game and buying an extra box to sell, and people who are just, you know, because, like, I would feel bad, right? Like, I'm not a sneakerhead, right? I know some people collect sneakers. I've heard that's a thing. If you're a sneakerhead out there, tell me, because I don't get it. Because sneakers to me, like, as soon as you wear them, you make them, like, I put cards in slabs, and you can't put sneakers in slabs. Maybe you can. Can you slab sneakers? Somebody tell me if you can slab sneakers. But let's say, like, so as soon as you wear a sneaker, like, the value goes down a little bit, right? And I don't understand sneakerhead. But anyway, sneaker culture. But I understand it's a thing, right? And people pay a lot of money on sneakers. If there were a shoe store near me doing a drop of, like, Nikes, and there's only going to be 100, and I knew if I could get there early and get a pair of Nikes and sell them for, like, triple my money, like, would I do it? I don't know. Like, if I had the time to go, like, sit there for 12 hours and, like, triple my money, like, maybe I would do it. But I would kind of feel bad, I think, that I'm engaging in a hobby that I care nothing about because I heard there was a way to make quick money to exploit, you know, a market inefficiency. So, I don't know. But I'd probably feel bad. I don't think I'd do it. Jeebus. Okay, so Jeebus sends me, of course there's a way to grade shoes. Graded Shoes Company specializes on authenticating, grading, and preserving collectible sneakers. Of course that's a thing. Hilarious. Okay. That's wild. Now I kind of want to. Can I just send any shoe to get graded? Like, can I just grab a pair of shoes that I've had for like 8 years, and for the sake of, like, can I get a PSA 1 shoe, or what would that be? A GSC 1 shoe? I kind of want that. Now I want to go thrift. Oh man, you've opened up a whole new world to me. I'm gonna go thrifting. I'm gonna find shoes to grade. Yeah, Dad, New Balances. Yeah, me too. Sending your shoes to PSA is so expensive. That's crazy. Some shoes. I mean, I get they're pretty. I get it. They don't wear them. Okay. You all know more about sneaker culture than me. Yeah, I guess it makes sense, like, not to wear them. I guess you put them on the shelf as a collector item, but I guess it's just that. I guess it's, anything we don't collect is just not our thing, I guess. I don't know. Authentication. Yeah, wild. Wantek says, in the past, Disney put purchase limits on, but then folks come with their entire family and buy their limit. Funny story. I'll comment on that in a second, but I am guilty of going into, I forget when it was. It was at some point in time, it was hard to find Disney Lorcana product. It might have been first chapter. I think it was first chapter. And like Barnes and Noble had a pack purchase limit of 1 per person at the time, which I think it was incredibly reasonable. And people did crazy things to get to Barnes and Noble to buy those single packs that you could buy at the time. What a world we lived in back then. But I am guilty of standing at the cash register with my wife and each of us buying a pack, and then asking the employee, like, can my 6-month-old buy a pack? Actually, she was 3 months old at the time, and they said yes, and so Elena bought a pack. So I might maybe a villain, I don't know, but I've done that. But yeah, I think what it comes down to is, yeah, Liam is entering his sneakerhead era, but for the worst shoes. Yeah, I'm gonna grade shoes ironically. I'm gonna protest grade. Yeah. Just as a joke. I think what it comes down to with these things is it feels bad when people game the system. Like, pure and simple. Like, we all, as a society, we have rules that we think should be followed based on, what we think is fair, what we think is, right, what is, ethical. And when people game the system by finding loopholes, it just feels bad. And I really dislike that. So yeah, people paying other people to stand in line, or people, even exploiting their large family, and you can say it's not exploiting, but like if you have, let's say, a 4-year-old in line and they're going to purchase 2 curator collections because it's a purchase limit of 2 per person, like, that the only reason that's happening is because the parents want that to do whatever with. Or even in London, like, that's what made London so egregious. And London is a fascinating case study because it's very similar to what happened at Gen Con, where people queued up. Disney fans, Lorcana fans queued up, and they created these lines. Nobody told them to. There was no signs for lines, from what I understand. They just said, hey, this is the way our society works. I get here first. I get in line. You get in here second. You get right behind me. And everybody followed that procedure. And Disney Lorcana fans recognized this social contract that we have when it comes to queuing in our culture. And they got in the line. And then when somebody comes up and they say, you know what, I recognize there's no security guard here, there's no actual rule about this line, Disney is not necessarily going to enforce it, so there's nothing stopping me from standing in the front, even though our entire convention about queuing in Western culture and in the world, frankly, is if you get there first, you're in line first. It feels really awful. And that's what it is. It's anytime people find ways to hack the system or find a loophole, like, because 95% of us recognize the social contract that we're all in and follow the rules. And when people exploit that for financial gain, it feels really bad, and it is really bad. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, Montex says it's all about intent. Tarzan says, my 5-year-old bought a box today, but she loves princesses. Good! More 5-year-olds should be getting this curator collection, right? Like, that's what I want. I want... That's success to me, is... Look, we get caught up... Tarzan, by the way, said that on Twitter just now, Tarzan77. Kudos to you for holding down the fort out there on Twitter. I'm not sure how many of you there are out there, but... also chatting on Twitter. There's very few people who chat on Twitter, so... like, we get so caught up in slabbing cards and grading and completing our collections and competitive play and all that. But you know what? Like, just the image of, like, a 5-year-old, 5-year-old, young girl, opening up this collection and seeing these beautiful princesses who she loves, and either, not sleeving them, grubby fingers. My daughter's 3, she picks her nose. And her nose picked fingers on these cards, holding them and running around with them. Like, that is a cool thing. And that, is where love of TCG starts. And, we should have more of that. So kudos to your 5-year-old for buying the Harem collection. And I hope she doesn't sleeve them. And I hope she runs around the house with them, getting them all dirty, 90s style, and just loving those cards, throwing them in a shoebox. Hey Heather, Fairy Queen Tink, appreciate you stopping by. But also, hey, okay, I'm reading these out of order. There we go. So I'm so behind on my chat. Kirby, I saw your question. I'm just gonna double check here. Tarzan says, shocked today that booster boxes and robes sold out before the collection boxes. I'm assuming the robes you meant playmat? Oh, troves. I am a little shocked, but here's why I think that's the case. So booster boxes and your troves are a guaranteed return. And I suppose the curator collections are too, but they're kind of an unknown quantity. So if you buy them, right now prices are very high, but... and they're sitting, I think, last I checked, they're like $450 on the secondary. But prices could collapse. And it's kind of an unknown... I mean, you'd have to sell them quickly and, whatever. Booster boxes and troves, people are chasing those iconics. They're lottery tickets, right? They want to pull those. With the curator collection, you get what you get. The other thing is, like, the history on the price appreciation of sealed TCG product, any product, is pretty well established. And so, if you buy a booster box, the return is there. So, yeah, that's also that. Sam says, I've lost respect for locals who started selling Minnie Mouse wide-eyed divers from deep trouble when that card was spiking. Interesting. I mean, it's interesting to me that the card was spiking. I guess the bummer is that it kind of tears apart the set. I don't know. Kirby says, can we talk about the curator's collection boxes not being shrink wrapped? Yeah, I didn't know they weren't. Like, I saw a pic. I didn't look at the pictures too carefully. I kind of noticed that I didn't think I saw shrink wrap on there, but wasn't sure. So I don't have anything to offer on that because I haven't seen them in person, except that from the very beginning of Disney Lorcana, it was their intent to not have shrink wrap on boxes. I think, partially for environmental concerns, or maybe all for environmental concerns. That was their objective, was no shrink wrap. And because, for 2 reasons. One is environmental concerns. The other is, if shrink wrap is your only layer of protection on product, people have gotten sophisticated at re-shrink wrapping product. And so the intent with the first chapter was to create a product that didn't use plastic, but that also had a paper pull tab that you had to destroy to open the box. And therefore you could always tell if the box has been resealed because you can't reseal that paper. I think, and then Jiba says, yeah, there were actually, hold on. Yeah, you all. So this is a first wave. You probably can't see that well in this camera, but you can see up top where, for those of you who weren't around, this has the paper pull tab here on the bottom where you destroyed the box. No plastic wrap, but then there's a huge gap among that top lip, and actually it's fairly easy to slide packs out of the side and either unintentionally lose those packs, or unscrupulous people can swap these packs out or look for enchanteds and swap in packs that are dead and all of that. So the design didn't work as intended, and they had to abandon it and go to plastic. So I think what we're seeing with the Curator's Collection is kind of a return to that philosophy if there's no plastic wrap on them, because that's what the company wants. But the question is, can you do it? Because here's the other problem. I mean, so we're all familiar with the problem of the first chapter boxes and packs coming out the sides and all that. There's another problem with some sealed paper product, which is the glue. It was possible with troves, and I think it still is. I'd have to look at a trove. At least people were doing it the first chapter troves. You apply enough heat to a section of that box, and it loosens up the glue to a point where you can get it open. And you can actually reseal old trove boxes. Do not do this. Do not do this. If you're watching, do not try it. Do not do it. Let's pretend that it can't be done, but it could be done. And so the problem you run into is, people have found ways to beat, almost every security precaution you put in place. But it seems that the most difficult one is to create realistic shrink wrap, especially with when it's branded. So there's absolutely, I think, no foolproof method to prevent people from tampering with boxes, but plastic wrap, branded plastic wrap, seems to be the best way. But that is that. So I think, anyway, if there's no plastic wrap in the Curator's Collection, I think that's why. I think it's kind of a return to that philosophy. Yeah, Jeebus says the classic lip on the side. Lots of people were complaining about getting boxes with less packs, even though it was unintended. Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. Liam tried. I did not teach you how to reseal troves. Please don't reseal troves. It's like currency, right? No security measure. Yeah, 100% Lee. The same goes with, fake cards. All you can do is try to stay one step ahead. Only do it to have nice looking sealed troves on your own shelf. Yeah, I guess, Sam, you could do it to have nice looking troves on your own shelf. I just have a second one that I don't open, I guess. But yeah, you could do it that way. Here's a fun, okay, there's something else I want to respond to, but before, just a funny thing. So I, as a content creator, for some reason, I feel like a responsibility to have one of every sealed product that they've made. And clearly, that's very, very difficult to pull off when it comes to other countries, because there's all sorts of product coming out in other countries that I just can't get. But for US products, I think I've done a pretty good job of like the Black Friday bundles and all of that. And they did a bundle, the Princess bundle? No. It was the one with like the first chapter and the Floodborn. It was like the Black Friday bundle last year or something. And I got sent a sample from the company for free. So of course, when you get sent a sample from the company, they don't mandate that you do anything with it. But I think the right thing to do is that they send you a product, you open it up and you review it. And of course, when you do that, thanks for the follow, Jeebus. I appreciate it. I also don't know why I have 2 alert boxes that pop up there, but I don't know what I'm doing on Twitch, so there you go. Anyway, so a company sends you a product, I think it's my responsibility to open it. And I've also been given a hard time before when I open some of these products for not opening the packs, because people are like, you gotta open the packs, so I do that. So then I had this quandary where I had to, I had this product, and you can, with the Black Friday bundles, it's very, very easy to reassemble them. You just put the binder back in, you put the packs back in the plastic blister on the front, and then you could create the product. So Aaron goes, hey, Liam, instead of trying to find a whole other product to buy, since we don't need another one of these, we don't need to throw this one out and then buy another, we don't need another binder. Just like, you have some loose blisters over there, just get some first chapter and some Floodborn blisters and put them in this box with the binder and call it good. It looks the same. And I was like, and in my head, I knew she was right. I'm like, yeah, I could actually easily do that. But it felt so wrong because those boosters didn't come in that box that I just couldn't do it. And I had to go buy another one. Anyway, yeah. So coming over here because Twitter felt how lonely is... Oh yeah, Twitter is lonely, Tarzan. I'm sorry, yeah. I was going to say, how lonely is Twitter? Here's the thing about Twitter. Like, people watch on Twitter, nobody chats on Twitter. It's not a very social place. I don't know if that's just the interface or... I don't know, the Twitter mentality of just kind of keeping your... no, it's the Twitter mentality is to yell. I've seen it. Yeah, anyway. So, overall, like today was, from a macro perspective, you know, there's pluses and minuses. But you can't argue that... I mean, you can, I guess, but it's difficult to argue that having a front page story on the Daily Mail UK about how much people want your product is bad news. How you handled it, all of that, yes. But like when headlines are saying there is such demand for a Disney card game that it is causing mobs and unruly people and yada yada yada. Like, that's... I mean, it's good publicity. But I feel very, very badly for anybody who was in that scenario today in either of the parks where there was just that uncertainty in the crowds and just the disappointment, because it is probably one of the most awful feelings to devote significant time and money and energy and passion in order to get something and then to not be able to. Like, it's one thing if, you know, like if I wanted, I don't know, if I wanted a particular TCG product and I knew it was coming in, like if I showed up at, you know, 10 a.m. and the line was already formed and all that, like I get it, I don't get the product. But if I show up at like 8 p.m. the night before and I'm committed and I don't get that product, it really, really hurts. So I feel for everybody who is stuck out there today who didn't get what they needed. So yeah, crush for the London Lorcana folks. Yeah, that probably feels the worst. I don't know what they're going to do about London. You know, because the initial statement from the store manager was it will be an online sale only. Like, we're not going to do the sale today. There'll be more details. We're going to sell them online. I think he straight up said that. And that's interesting to me. Because if that's the case, and they go that route, I don't know how you geo-lock that to just the UK. Because there's all sorts of Dropbox shipping and all sorts of other, you know, services out there. So like that, and VPN is a thing. So I don't know. So that does feel bad because if you live in London, I mean, that's the thing. Like if you live in London or can get to London and you knew this drop was coming and you wanted a curator collection box, in theory, you could get one. You just have to be able to take the time off work or whatever. And you get there early enough, you get in line, and in theory, you get a product. You can guarantee yourself a product. And to have that kind of taken away from you feels kind of bad, I feel like. Yeah. Yeah. London was awful. Crush for the London folks. Yeah, it's really sad. But kudos to Dublin. Like, apparently Dublin, you know, did this, and I don't know. I saw Kimberly Ann had, you know, her curator box, and I didn't see like any other stories out of Dublin. Like apparently that happened, and people got stuff and left, and everything was gravy. So kudos to them. I don't care for Paris's 8-box purchase limit, but you know, in fairness, the store employers are probably like, you know what, we just want to get rid of these things so we can not worry about it anymore. So anyway, yeah, let's go Ireland. So I don't know, like overall, there's just a lot to digest, and I think that I have been impressed, and I do think that at the very least, Ravensburger consistently takes steps forward. I know we can all point to examples where we think they took steps back, like 6 DLCs in North America down to 3 and all that. Like there are those examples, but I do think when you dig down into why some of those things happen, there are, rational explanations. But in general, I do think the company is in a position where they're constantly trying to improve and push things forward and to make things better for the Lorcana community in general, and to make the game just a positive force. So I'm fairly confident that at least on the Ravensburger side, they're going to try to find ways to improve this experience in the future. And not that Disney won't. I just haven't interacted with Disney and followed their goings on to the level that I'm confident I can say that. Where having watched Ravensburger, through a magnifying glass for multiple years, as we've engaged in this hobby, I just do see evidence that they constantly try to improve. So, yeah, they can improve with a digital client that has a subscription bundled with Disney Plus and coverage is just a channel on Disney Plus. That would be sick. I mean, can you imagine? I'd never thought of a digital client and Disney Plus integration, but can you imagine? This game would explode. Just a digital client would make this game explode. Anyway, yeah, I do wonder, clearly, I mean, we all know that these are going to happen again just because it makes financial sense. And also, I do find it really interesting, the name, Curator Collection Heroines, straight up tells us that there are going to be more of these. But I do wonder what happens with print runs in the future. Yeah, I do think, because there are arguments to keep them this size, to be frank. I don't know that they're good arguments or bad arguments, but there are arguments to keep, the product fairly limited, to keep the hype high. But I don't know. But I would like to see, to be quite honest, last thing on that, I do think there's an argument to be made, as I started with. There's an argument to be made for print-to-demand versions of this product. So, because I think that makes everybody happy. I don't think you want every collectible, version of a card or whatever to be mass produced. I do think you need collectible cards. But I do think that print-to-demand with secret layers or this type of product, it creates a really feels good moment for people where they want some cards. They go online, they put in their credit card, they pay $50, and then 8 months later they get their cards, and it's this really good, smooth, feels good process, and you could do that in a way that still creates hype, because if that window is fairly limited, if it's a day, if you have an entire day to place the order and then it's done, there are going to be people that miss that window. There are going to be people that find Disney Lorcana later, and those cards will still have value. So even if these drops continue at the parks, which I'm all about, park exclusive stuff, but even if these drops continue at the parks, I do think a print-to-demand series of these products, if you're able to pull it off, just creates really good feelings. So yeah. There's also interesting, so Jeebus points out, if they want to avoid the rights, you can always have a lottery queue to purchase. And that's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought of replicating the digital queue lottery in physical form, but you could easily do that. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of creative ways to solve this problem, and even some ways that that we haven't thought of or have seen before. So yeah. Planet Sadala says, RB doesn't make money from hype. People who can't buy boxes is money RB is missing out on. That is true. That is 100% true. So the question, though, is I guess my point is sustaining the hype. If how many drops would it take of product being worth very, very little for the hype to die down, and very, very little due to print run numbers. So There's an argument to be made that if you, let's say the print run here is 50,000. I don't know what it is, but let's say 50,000 boxes. If you put out 50,000 boxes that sell out, and you do it every 2 weeks, like every 2 weeks you have a drop, and 50,000 boxes, and they sell it every 2 weeks. That is a perpetual money-making machine. At some point, you know, if you increased print runs, you could, and let's say you go up to 100,000. Well, there's a world in which those 100,000 continue to sell out every 2 weeks, or, you know, demand is a little softer than that. The secondary market prices aren't quite as high, and so people start to become less interested because there's less return, and at some point, you know, out of those 100,000 boxes, 70,000 sell. So you're making more money. But now that craziness, that hype around trying to buy out those products every 2 weeks, like, starts to go down because the return is less and less, and at some point, perhaps the demand goes lower than it was when you had a $50,000 print run or 50,000 box print run. So I don't know. It's tough. You know, supply and demand is tough. But I do think, like, the one thing that is clearly obvious is, as the game grows and there's more customers for these cards, whether it's scalpers, flippers, just organic players, collectors, whoever, like, print runs should go up 100%. You know, it's interesting. I like comparing like Pokemon numbers because it's fun. I don't know, but it was kind of eye-opening for me recently. Everybody knows that Pokemon is crazy right now. I mean, you don't have to be, you have to be, like, your first exposure to Pokemon. If you know nothing else about Pokemon, you know two things. You know who Pikachu is, and you know that Pokemon cards are hard to get. Where is it going with this? Oh, that's where it's going with this. There's a set that came out recently called 151. And it was very, very popular. It was the original 151 Pokemon. And for a while, actually, the prices of the packs were fairly reasonable. But they very, very quickly skyrocketed because people realized how desirable the chases are. One of the biggest chases in the set was a Charizard, which was alternate art. Really, really cool looking card, and everybody wanted it. The PSA 10. So I you know, was looking at populations the other day, and this is one of the most desirable cards recently in the last few years, and I used it as kind of a one data point, but I took a look at the PSA population of that card because I was interested in card grading and gem rates and all that. Excuse me. The PSA 10 population of that card is over 12,000. And Pokemon cards don't grade very well. Hey, thanks for the subscription over on YouTube there. I can't pronounce your name. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. I'm not going to try. Thank you for the subscriber over on YouTube. Even though the funny thing about YouTube subscriptions when I'm live streaming is, like, it could be somebody watching an old video like ages ago, I think. And they just happen to subscribe while I'm streaming. So it's kind of cool. Where I was going with that is, the PSA 10 population of a Charizard 151 SIR is over 12,000. Might be 13,000 now. And Pokemon gems at a very low rate compared to Lorcana. And so if there's 12,000 some odd, you know, 10s, there's a significant number of 9s, and then even 8s and 7s because people send in stuff where they miss things. And so if there's that many graded, how many are there in the world of these incredibly desirable cards that are worth, I think, $800 raw now, and like $20,000 or $2,000 in PSA 10. When you compare that to Disney Lorcana, if you look at some of the most graded cards, like the Set 1 Elsa, for example, I have to double check the PSA 10 population, but it is a fraction of that. And so it really highlights, like, the scale and difference between our two games, which we all knew. But it's something to remember as we talk about the print runs of these products, because, you know, as the community grows and as the game grows and expands, like, we should see, you know, 3 years down the line, the print run of whatever set happens 3 years from now should be, in theory, like 5 times that of Attack of the Vine. Like, that's success. If we're in a world in which, you know, we continue to see print runs just, like, incrementally inch up, every single set release, and if every curator collection is the same print run, then, like, I don't know, it's Disney Lorcana has such potential for growth that we really want to see it growing, I think, at that level. I don't know that it'll ever hit Pokemon levels. It might. I don't know that it will, but because Pokemon has 30 years, on us. But like that's where we want to be. And so every time we're talking about demand and all that, like, we should be thinking of, yes, maintaining demand, but scaling to the current size of the community. So yeah. So Filament Game says older products weren't printed enough. People don't understand yet. Are you talking about older Disney Lorcana sets? Because you may be right there, although you have this weird anomaly with Inklands and Ursula's, like, crazy print runs. But yeah, other than those. Anyway, Ray says a bunch of brand new players today pre-release. Seems hype is bringing in new players. That's exciting. That is one thing I will say. I do think, and I think starting with Fabled, to be quite honest, I think Fabled did its job to be a gateway set, and a lot of new people kind of discovered the game with Fabled. But then things went steady, and with the hype right now, with Disney Lorcana in the news and with card prices, I think it's getting on a lot of people's radar, and I think the game is going to grow from some of the due to some of the crazy price increases in the market and the news that we're getting right now. I'm not surprised that there are new players walking into, like, a significant number of new players walking into Attack of the Vine pre-release for the first time. I think we're seeing that in a lot of different places. The one caveat this weekend is you have the World Cup finals to contend with on Sunday, so that is a heck of a thing to compete with. For sure. Yeah, Filament Games, older product. Yeah, I think that's true. I do think, in particular, you're going to see that. So Filament Games is making the point about older set runs. Inklands and Ursula's were printed crazy. There's just a lot of it. So those, I think there's a lot of. First Chapter and Fledborn are interesting because I do think there were quick second prints of those. And then we saw, a bunch of extra of those come out in various supplementary products. But I do think the print run is lower than people think, even though we did see, a significant, we did see a reprint of those sets. The wild cards, the weird ones, are like Shimmering Skies to Jafar. And then Fabled, of course, they didn't print many. Those sets, I kind of agree. I think that those, there are a lot less of it out there. There's a lot less of it out there than people think. First four sets, I think, are slightly different, but anyway. Yeah, G was pointing out most things pre-Fabled have minimal collectible cards overall. Yeah, that's the problem. It's really enchanted or bust on most of those. There's some weird anomalies, but for the most part, yeah, it's enchanted or bust, and it's really all about, yeah. In Magic, you have, people talk about different eras, you have the golden era, the bronze era, whatever, and there was these certain sets that changed the landscape because they changed something fundamental about the game. One is like the War of the Spark was the last set before they introduced collector boosters, and that was the last time that, like, a box was a box was a box. I think, everything pre-Iconic and Epic is the first chapter of Disney Lorcana. And all of those boxes will age similarly based on, the fact that there are only enchantments in those sets, and the pull rates of those enchantments are pretty consistent, I think, through most of those sets. So, yeah, so it's interesting. Whereas, yeah, the Iconics and I think the Epics are underappreciated right now. I'm just gonna say. That really, really pushed the value and the collectability and the box opening experience of everything post-Fabled, which is crazy. B-Dub, thanks for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very much. As we get closer to midnight here, one of my crazy random streams. Yeah, Thanks Kirby for joining us after your crazy day today. I appreciate you stopping by and listening for like, I don't know, an hour, however long I've been live. So thanks. Always a pleasure, Kirby. Yeah, Will Be Rip says the game is so easy and fun that as long as it's accessible, it will flourish. Yes, I agree. Oh, new player here. Welcome to the game, Will Be Rips. I appreciate you stopping by. If you're new to the game, welcome. Agree with that. And that brings up another great problem that Disney Lorcana has to contend with, and that is this. Cards selling out at release, like, is not a bad thing, right? Like, we all had that feeling. So for sets, all of us had this uneasy feeling, right? When we walked into our Target or our Walmart or a big box retailer, and you went to the card section, right? And you had, at the card section, you had like a couple, like, Pokemon Arena, Learn to Play things. You had like a couple random tins that nobody wanted. You had these random sports cards boxes that nobody cared about. And then some like WWE card set that sat there forever. And then you had the Pokemon section. And you know how many blisters are hanging in the Pokemon section? 0. Always. They came and they went. And then you look over and you have the Lorcana section. And the Lorcana section is well stocked. Cards everywhere. And in fact, there were times where troves would sit there for ages. Like, nobody wanted the troves. And that, to me, is like worst case scenario, right? Where you have these products sitting on the shelves and nobody wants it. So a world in which we're in right now, where Attack of the Vine comes out, and as much as I dislike, I feel really, really bad for anybody who enjoys opening product, who loves this game, who's enjoyed this game for years, who is having a hard time finding product in MSRP. Like, I think it sucks, frankly. I love paying, $400 for a case, or even if I'm paying MSRP, I love paying MSRP per case. So again, it sucks. But frankly, when you're looking at the health of a TCG, when a set's released of any TCG and it is gone, like, as soon as it hits shelves, that's a pretty successful game. The problem is what Will Be Rips just highlighted on YouTube, which is for the player base to grow. Like, for us to bring new people into the game, you have to have product on hand to provide to them in LGSs, and you have to have product in hand, I would argue, in big box retailers. Like, people need to be able to walk through the stores and be like, oh, that's, Mulan on that pack. I love that movie. Let's get a pack of Mulan cards, or see Elsa on a pack of cards and be like, do you want to try these cards? Like, those people stumbling into the game, I think it's important that product's available for them. So, like, that's the conundrum here, is if print runs increase to the point where the cards are difficult to sell, they're just sitting on store shelves in perpetuity. You have Inklands, which I think Disney is still trying to sell at the parks. Like, that doesn't feel good, and it's not good. But also, when it's gone immediately, it also doesn't feel good. So it's in a TCG, it's a very difficult nut to crack. And that to me is the biggest thing, is like, how does the game continue to provide those opportunities for discovery for folks? And I think that's a problem. Wilby's, that the pre-con decks are actually super accessible. You say the 2-player Wilds Unknown pre-cons. Oh yeah, I mean, that's really good to hear. That is really good to hear. So Wilby's saying that the 2-player starter set was the reason that he and his wife started to play. I have mine around here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. I agree with you. Like, those products are really, really good. So they actually had a product, Lorcana Gateway, for a long time. And you can still find it in the secondary market for about $20, which filled a similar niche. I think 2-player starter sets are a great way to go. I think the pre-cons kind of I loved the pre-cons. So Wilby's, if you're unaware, like in previous sets up until I think Winterspell was the first set we didn't have them. They had 2 pre-constructor decks which came out in every set, which were kind of themed around that set. And then they went to the 2-player starter set, which brings both decks together in the same, same box. And I actually really liked the pre-cons, but the problem was they kind of ran their course because they weren't super high-powered. They didn't come like equipped to teach people how to play. Like they weren't necessarily designed for that. And yet they were a great way for people to discover the game. But the price point was kind of weird. I loved them. I think they were great products. But I can understand why they weren't really like who were they for, The 2-player starter set is very clearly like for new players to learn how to play. And it gives you 2 decks and you can go head to head. And it's great. Same with Disney Orcana Gateway. Another fantastic product. So, yeah. Oh, B-dubs, your Will Be Rips on YouTube. Hey, I appreciate anybody who is double platforming this. If you're giving me numbers on both platforms, shout out to you. So, B-dub, hey, thanks for watching on YouTube and the follow on Twitch. So super cool. And also, again, welcome to the game. I'm super excited that you. Does your wife play as well? By the way, you said you and your wife learned to play. Does she engage in the game and the collecting, or did she just learn to play with you? So I'm curious. Oh, awesome. Wilby says she does play. That's fantastic. Stay in touch and let us know how set champs go this time around. You should definitely go compete. That's awesome. Oh, sorry, Hoker, I missed your comment on YouTube. You were in line at Downtown Disney for 8 hours. That's a long time. In the Florida heat, or no, California. Actually, California probably wasn't as humid as Florida, but still hot. Did you get your products, Hickory? Was it all for naught? Curious. Oh my goodness. B-Dub says, I wish we were into it during Milwaukee DLC. We were 10 minutes from where it was held. Oh, you would have loved it. You would have loved it, and you would have been a fan for life. Because there's nothing quite like a DLC in terms of that convention experience. It's really cool. I assume we'll be back in Milwaukee at some point. So, but in fact, I actually do the broadcast commentary for some of the DLCs. So, love to see you there sometime because they're super cool. Fair Critic, do we know what the card is for set champs? Yes, I think we do. I think it's the Rapunzel, beautiful Rapunzel card, which everybody's gonna want. It's another absolutely fantastic, beautiful card. It's a princess, so like it's gonna be. Woody was, pretty popular. I think Rapunzel's gonna be as popular, if not more, because I also think she's playable. So crazy, crazy cool. Wish I could have went to a pre-release. I'm sorry you couldn't. Oh, you couldn't go to a pre-release because that? Okay, we'll have to talk about the potato thing. I think we may be able to work something. Unsure if this has been discussed yet to sold him, but interested to hear Logan's experience at Disney Springs today, as he was about 20 people ahead of me and probably only got the Harem Collector Box. We'll talk about it on Monday. For those who don't know, I do a live show every Monday with my broadcast partner, Logan, aka Zanielus from Team Maelstrom. I'm recently relocated to Florida, and we're going to talk all about this on Monday night with some guests, and so definitely interested in Logan's experience because I want to hear about it as well. So definitely tune in on Monday, everyone, if you're interested. Yeah, both watched a video of your openings and then say you're broadcasting. We're like, no way. Yeah, that was a good time. I appreciate you watching my stuff. Now I don't know what to call you. I don't know if I should call you B-Dubs or if I should call you Will Be Rips. I don't know what you prefer. I'm gonna go with B-Dubs. It's quicker. Yeah. Definitely run into guest relations, wondering other ways to communicate to Disney and our frustrations. That's a great point. So one thing you can do, Soldim. So first off, I definitely think it's worthwhile contacting both companies because both companies have like equity in this. So reaching out to both independently is great. I think like publicly, like tweets and things like that, I think they're only so helpful. Clearly, but I think all of these public comments kind of like get mashed together into like this broad public sentiment. And I think it's less impactful than reaching out directly. So if I were to recommend how to reach out to companies about your frustrations or recommendations, because I think every frustration should come with a recommendation. I think one, I'm not sure how the best way to reach out to Disney, to be quite honest. I think guest relations is a great way, probably. So I would definitely do that. But on the Ravensburger side, there are email like contact addresses, but also this is going to sound like a silly way to do it, but I think it works. On the Discord server, on the official Disney Lorcana Discord server, there is a place where you can open up like a ticket. There's like a feedback place, and you can open up a ticket there. And believe it or not, it is actually very well monitored. And I know that they pay attention to the comments in there, and they've responded and things like that. So that is another way to go. That is probably easy, like an easy, low barrier to entry is to jump on the Discord server and provide a ticket there. I think that helps. And I'm trying to think of who to email. There's probably emails available for like customer service now. It's an email, but I do know that at least on the Ravensburger side, there are people at the company who definitely take an interest in community feedback. And that's one of the things that they use as they try to drive improvement. So, I mean, we've seen it in the past, so don't hesitate to leave that feedback. Yeah, I don't get why, because they're pointing out that in Set Champs this time, the card is Rapunzel and the mat is Monsters Inc., which is the first time we've ever seen those two things divorced. I don't know either, but I kind of think it's cool. I kind of like it. It gives us more art. And yeah, I would have loved the Rapunzel playmat, though, to be honest. But I guess, one of the reasons this is going to be silly. One of the reasons might be, like, we recently had Rapunzel High Climber as a playmat, and so we've had that character featured already pretty prominently, and so at some point it's like, let's get another franchise on there. So the art's different, but perhaps, like, that was part of the calculation. I don't know. Yeah, a bunch of playmats, yeah. At least the High Climber is the only one I can think of for Rapunzel. Yeah, I've got literally all of them right here. Oh no, Gifted Artist too. Yeah. Somebody's gonna call me on that. Gifted Artist. Reginald says one of the people on my LGS pulled a dash and Violet saving a trade with me. Fantastic. Like is that your chase? For the set? I feel like it was. I feel like you said it was. Right? Anyway, I don't know. If you're just joining us, or if you've joined us recently, I gave a full download on my thoughts on today's events. If you have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer. But at the end of the day, it's I know it's a lot. The other thing to talk about, I suppose, for the last couple minutes here, because I shouldn't stay on too late. I have cards to sort tomorrow, clearly. But the other thing to mention, I suppose, we talked a lot today about the Curator Collection release. Didn't talk about the Poon playmats being sold out like almost immediately. That was a huge bummer, because that art is fantastic. But is the overall like Attack of the Vine release and what we're seeing with like box prices and everything else, because that's a whole other part of the story, is how this release is different than really any release that we've had since Rise of the Floodborn, in terms of box prices and pre-order prices and availability and all that. And I don't know, that's a whole other topic to get into, but it's another example of where, unfortunately, like, boxes selling at MSRP and even slightly above MSRP are indications of a game that is doing well. People want the product, people want the cards. And so from the perspective of, is the game thriving? And I guess I shouldn't say the game. I guess I should say the product, because I think, the game as a game and the player base is a separate aspect of, how well the game is doing. The desirability of the cards, the collectability of the cards is another aspect. But certainly when your product is selling out like immediately and is selling for over MSRP, like that is an indication of a product that is in demand. So from that perspective, this launch can't be seen as anything but very successful. The problem is, at what point, how many of those people collecting, or buying boxes or whatever, are part of the dedicated player base? How many of those people are just profit seekers? And how does this product being priced above MSRP and priced how it is impact the sentiment of the player base, which has to this point supported the game? And I don't know the answer, but the supply and demand of these print runs of these products is it's a delicate thing to get just right. And so we'll see, over the next few weeks, especially as big box retailers get their hands on product, just how frustrated the player base is. But I do think we have to acknowledge that even though, some of us unfortunately couldn't get product at the price we're used to, or even the amount of product that we are used to getting, at the same time, the increased demand is a good look, for a game that we love, right? Like, in a world in which I can go to my LGS and buy boxes of Disney Lorcana, as many as I want, for $100, that's really, really good for me, and I'm excited about that, and I'll have a good experience with the game because I'm ripping boxes for $100. But it's a really, really bad look for the game, right? It's not. So anyway, all it is to say, like, I think this weekend is an example of Lorcana growing into a more desirable collectible, into a card game that's on par with many of the other collectible card games that we see out there. But at the same time, the negative consequence of that is there are, some bad feelings among people who understandably are frustrated that they can't get their hands on product that that they would like to, or that they're used to getting. And that's just unfortunate. So in TCGs, just as in life, nothing is black or white. It's all gray, and it's good and bad all mixed together in this ball. It's like the core memory in Inside Out, which is both happy and sad. Like, that's everything, right? It's all ups and downs and goods and bads. Yeah. So at 1 a.m. stream, let's go, says Preston. You're on East Coast time. I don't know if I'm going to one. Like, I have before, but it's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. Planet Sadala says, I wish this hype translated to more players at locals. Agreed. That's step 2, right? That's step 2, and I agree with you completely. Step 1 is get people to buy cards. Step 2 is get them into the LGS, and I absolutely agree with you. Because how you grow the player base is different than how you grow. Like, they're complementary, but how you grow the collectability of the game is slightly different than how you grow the player base. And I think for Disney Lorcana, one of its strengths is its gameplay. And unlike Pokemon, which only about, I think the stat is around 20% of the people who have the cards actually play the game. I think it's way less, frankly. But I think part of the strength of Disney Lorcana is its gameplay. And I think for it to be successful, and I think what the company wants is it has a vibrant player base as well as it's collectible. And so how we grow the player base is a whole other problem. And you have to do both. Like, you have to keep the cards collectible while you're growing the player base, and these things work hand in hand. And so we've got the collectability right now at a good spot, I think. It's just now, there's more effort to continue to translate that into players at the table, because that's what we want, is players at the table. Yeah, Josh says, forced to buy singles only for the first time this set. Love the pack rush, but it's not worth it at this price point. It's a shame because this feels like the best designed set of the bunch. I get that sentiment completely. I get that sentiment completely. And I mean, anecdotally, like, I fully support that decision. Anecdotally, I bought a case. I have not bought a case to rip for ages. Like, I used to think that that was the thing to do, because I wanted to provide that content for people who can rip cases and I stopped doing it after a while because I was spending a lot of money on cases and there weren't views there, and it just didn't make sense monetarily. This set, because of the hype, our pre-release box opening actually did really well on YouTube. So there was an audience for the content. So I said, a lot of people watch that video. I'll go buy a case, and we'll see if people want to watch that content, like if it's good content. Because that's the thing with content, right? Like, if there's no audience for it, you don't do it. So I bought a case, I ripped it. I bought it at MSRP, from one of my locals, because, Game Store, like, he was very generous to sell it at MSRP, but I got it at MSRP. So I'm used to paying like $400 a case. I got this one, like 150 plus, so it was close to $600 for the case. Cool. And the video is doing well. It won't earn $600, frankly. And it's a whole other conversation. It's YouTube monetization and how hard it is to actually make money on YouTube. But anyway, video's doing well-ish. But, all intents and purposes, is a successful case. Pulled 2 enchanteds from the case. Like, great case, right? 2 enchanteds, you can't be upset unless it's an iconic. Now, one of them is probably the lowest valued one in the set, but frankly, my favorite one in the set. This card is amazing. I don't know why more people don't like Malin Lee. I love this card. I'm going to buy 100 of them, but I can't afford 100 of them. I want 100 of them. Anyway. So, all intents and purposes, it's a good case, right? But you do the math on this card plus this card, and which is carrying most of the value of the case, not equal to what I paid. I guess you could include, if I added up all the legendaries, which are selling for a few bucks each, and if I added up the epics, I'm probably getting right about to where I paid. So that's the problem is, the value proposition of ripping boxes changes completely when you're getting it at MSRP and higher. But part of the brilliance of iconic cards is that they're dragging up the EV of a lot of these boxes because, you can open a case and you can make thousands right now if you hit an iconic. So anyway, I'm not saying don't open product. If you enjoy opening product, you should open product 100%. But what I am saying out there, I'm trying to remember who made the comment, sold him. What I am saying is that the decision to skip product this set and to just buy singles based on current prices is like completely understandable. And yeah, and for sure that's usually the best way to go if you're trying to save money, but because you can get what you need buying singles. But anyway, but it is a fun rip. It is a fun rip because this set is beautiful and the Winnie the Pooh cards are amazing, and I think this set is very, very good and it's going to age very well. So yeah, it's fun to open. I think I like it better than Wilds. I think I like it better than Wilds Unknown. And I really liked Wilds Unknown. I'm gonna admit something. I didn't think I was going to like Wilds Unknown. When I first saw Wilds Unknown, it was giving me Inklands vibes, and I was like, it's kind of an adventure, it's a jungle adventure set. It's kind of cliche. It's no Winter Spell. It's no like Whispers in the Well, and then Wilds came out, and I was like, this set's good. I loved it. No, it's gonna sound at some point like I'm a shill because I've loved every set since Fable. I've loved every set I've enjoyed. I'm not gonna lie. There's not a set that came out where I was like, I don't know, not great. I've enjoyed the vibe of every set, but like ever since Fabled, every set has felt like a home run, and I don't know, they're on it. Narwhal says they dropped more product at 2 p.m. at Pin Traders after dismissing everyone who waited and didn't get product. Interesting. I heard, so that's interesting, Narwhal, because I had heard kind of like rumblings that product was still available like really late in the day, and I said to myself, how can that be? Even if they had thousands and thousands of boxes with that crowd in the morning, like I'm surprised they didn't sell out. So that's interesting that they had kind of like that would make sense if they had like a restock as to why it was still there. I really want to know what the print run of this product is. Really, really want to know. I'm catching up on some comments here. Heather, I'll answer that question in a moment because I don't know what my favorite card this set is. Inktable, we've always had... By the way, thanks for stopping by, Inktable. If you all don't watch the Inktable podcast or listen to them, you absolutely should. Delightful, and the vibe is amazing. So if you're just getting into the game, check out the Inktable because I love them so much. All right, we've always had a healthy... The comments keep jumping as I read them. Healthy, consistent community, West Virginia. We've just had our largest pre-release ever at 27, usually 20. That's really good. That's what I'm seeing or hearing right now is the pre-releases are doing very well. And frankly, part of it is the pre-release kits. And that's the thing. Like with the value of product, like all of a sudden $40 pre-release kits become pretty attractive, especially when you're getting those promos. And although if people are showing up just to get the product and the promos, but then they get like tricked into playing and they enjoy the game, that's great, right? So like if people are showing up just because they want 6 packs of cards for like $40 and the promo card, cool. Welcome in. Hey, while you're here, you want to try a game? Let's try a game. Why not air? I'm sad this Pokebro spike happened just after I got into the game, and the reason I chose Lorcana over loving Disney was cost. Yeah, I mean, I get it. So here's the thing I will offer to you, like why not air? I don't think this is the new normal. I don't think we know what the new normal is yet. I think that Ravensburger has shown in the past that one of the things that they really, really value is having product exposed to like new players. So that was why they did that reprint of First Chapter, and that's why they did the Surge in Inklands. Like they've always made it evident that, because there are other philosophies. So Bandai, with some of their games, takes a very deliberate approach to do smaller print runs so that things sell out and their cards remain expensive. And it's a good business model, right? Like, you can do that. I think Ravensburger and Disney Lorcana have shown that that's not what they're into necessarily. Now, that could change. I'm not saying that's the way it's going to be, but everything we've seen from them seems to indicate that they want to have enough product out there in any given release so that newer and casual players can access the game and to find the game. So I don't think we're in a new normal. I think part of the problem is that print runs are determined so far in advance if you don't own your own print facility, and Ravensburger does not own their own print facility, that it's very, very difficult for them to respond in real time to surges in demand. And so what we're seeing right now is a function of a rapid increase in demand with print runs that have already been set. And, as we go down the road, I think we can expect to see print runs increase to match demand. I do not know, and I won't venture to guess whether or not we'll ever get to a point where we were before, where boxes are $100. I don't know that is a world in which it's like healthy for a TCG. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But at the same time, I don't think that a world in which pre-order prices are $200 a box is where we're going to end up. I just think we're in a weird place right now, and that's going to change over time. So, Gazette, have a great night. Thanks for stopping by, as always. Hopefully see you Monday night. And let's talk about that potato, because if you're not going to approve this event, we'll figure something out. It wanted air also worked for a card store in 2010s for about 6 years, and if packs were more than $5 Canadian, people wouldn't buy them. Yeah. I will say, I understand for a lot of people that's the break point. But we're also in a new TCG era, which is a wild place right now. It's very different than the aughts, so it's like pre-Rudy, different time. Inktable's bringing up the singles price. Yeah, singles price. That's the thing. As the more people busting open boxes to look for collectible cards like Enchanteds, and then liquidating the rest of the boxes because they're not interested in them, the cheaper singles become. So a world in which, let's say 50% of people who buy boxes are just ripping them, finding Enchanteds, and then liquidating the playables, like playable prices go way down. So that's the other benefit, is you can build a competitive deck. A world in which you can build a competitive meta deck for like $50 is a good place to be. So, Lee Barbs, bye. Thanks for hanging out for so long. I'm not on here much longer, I don't think, but I appreciate you hanging out. Narwhal's asked if I could make an enchanted card, what would it look like? What characters or ink colors would it be? I don't know. I think it's all about like what character it would be or what song, or I don't know. But most of my like favorite characters have been on cards. In fact, my favorite Disney character right now is Pongo. I realized that recently, and Pongo's already had an enchanted card, so I don't know. Maybe I would give an enchanted to... I don't know. It's a good question. I'll have to think about it. I don't know. I don't know what I would do, because many of my cards have already been hit. Many of my cards have already been done. So, Jacob is funny. Okay, so sorry. Jacob made a YouTube comment that said, I still think Azurite Sea is the peak set, but I agree that Iconics make an apples to oranges comparison for opening. Why do you say Azurite Sea? Because Azurite Sea is a funny set to me. Azurite Sea Enchanteds get some heat, and people aren't big fans. I'm gonna have a bit of a hot take here. I think Azurite Sea Enchanteds one day are going to be incredibly desirable. They get a lot of flack right now because they are so different, and they're a little flat, and like they don't pop, and I get it. Like I get it, but they're so different, and some of them are so cool, like the Basil, which looks like Da Vinci, or even the Daisy Duck Pirate Captain, that I think Azurite Sea over time is going to become, I could be very wrong here, by the way, but I think it's going to be, they're going to be enchanters that are chased after because they're so different and unique. They stand apart. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of Azurite Sea Enchanteds. I'm not gonna lie. So it's just me. That's just me. Get some heat, says Scotty Understatement. Yeah, nobody likes him. I don't know why nobody likes him. I mean, even Wreck-It Ralph looks cool. Gadget looks cool. You know? I don't know. I like him. Yeah. The rare Its Day is coming. Yeah, Tiana Enchanted is under... It's Tiana's only Enchanted, right? If you're a Tiana fan, like, it's the only way to get an Enchanted version. And I think it's great, too. Like, yeah. I don't know. Okay, so that's you. Jacob, okay. I'm connecting the dots here, Jacob. Thanks. Yeah, of course. CLRZ. All right. Hi, Jacob. Thanks for hanging out. There's a lot of Jacobs out there. I didn't realize this Jacob was that Jacob. So hi, Jacob. Yeah. Narwhal says, I'm personally not a fan of the Inklands Enchanted designs. There are some that are great though, right? Like, I get like the classic painting. Some of them they're a little static, right? Like Robin Hood, Scrooge. But look at Kita, man. Like Kita is bonkers. The fact that Kita isn't more expensive is crazy to me because that art goes so hard. It's amazing. Morph, I love. It's like a little Renaissance painting. And then the Mickey Mouse Trumpeter. I don't give financial advice, but one of the things you saw in like the recent Pokeball Strike is in Pokemon, the desirability of a lot of the chase cards is based on like character and then like the art, right? It's not necessarily based on game ability. People collect cards who have never even read the ability on those cards. It's just about the art and the rarity and the character itself. When you saw the spike recently, which has largely cooled, mostly, one of the interesting phenomena you saw was that a lot of the people jumping into the game as new like quote unquote investors or whatever weren't necessarily targeting playable cards, of course, because they don't play the game. They were targeting characters and basing their decisions on the desirability of certain characters. So, of course, princesses, etc. Mickey Mouse is one of them, obviously. So, long term, Mickey Mouse Trumpeter, who I still think I think it went back down to where it was, around like $100. For a while, it was like at 60 or 70. Like the art on that card is really, really good. I think that's a great card to have in your collection. I think Mickey Mouse Trumpeter is great. So Inklands, yeah, interesting design, and not all the cards hit. There's some that are like really good, and Mickey Mouse Trumpeter, Kita, and I like Morph too, are some that I really like. Yeah, Kita's great. Yeah, I agree. Narwhal's like I think that was the style, was like muting the colors, making it look like, you know, Renaissance paintings, etc. Yeah, Ursula's Return is another one that's really polarizing. Jacob says Ursula's Return least favorite due to the styling. So the purpose of those cards, I'm sure you know this because you know done Lorcana content for everybody else. Like Ursula's Return, what those cards were meant to look like is, you know, when Ursula or anybody like looks in a cauldron and has like a vision, and you just have you have that figure surrounded by like blackness, right? So you're looking in the cauldron, or you're having a vision, and you just see like a bit of that character, like when Ursula looks in and sees Ariel swimming, like she doesn't see the surroundings, she just sees Ariel. That was what those cards were supposed to represent, was Ursula looking into her cauldron in Ursula's Return and seeing the glimmers that were coming to like attack her. And so the enchanteds were designed to be part of the narrative in that way, which I think is really, really cool. If you don't know that's what you're looking at, then the enchanteds don't hit right, I feel like. If you know that and you're like, oh, that's what I'm looking at, then I think they hit a little bit better. But I can understand that, like, yeah, just having the characters depicted in that way, I get it. I don't know where they sit for me. They're not my favorite. I don't know that I dislike them, but they're definitely not my favorite. Anyway. Yo, what's up, Alpha JBO? Jafar in the house. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what they're designed to be. So, yeah, they're kind of cool. Like mostly, it's looking at enchanteds that are coming to like attack her. But then there's a couple weird ones, like Ursula is an enchanted herself. But yeah, that's why they're all designed like that. Fun fact too is about those, like not Nuka. Ryan is his name in real life. Why am I blanking on his name? Blanking out his name. There's a particular artist who's brought on like just to do those enchanteds, like first, and he has like 5 of them. So like all of those enchanteds are kind of based on that artist's style. It's an artist from the Philippines. I'm blanking out his name. He has a pseudonym. I forget. Yeah, the Azurite Sea treasure. I'm sorry, Frequenting says I thought the Azurite Sea enchanteds look like old treasure maps. What those are designed to be, Azurite Sea, is not treasure maps per se, but similar. They're, you know how when, back in the day, like explorers or naturalists went out into the, on expeditions and they were exploring, new islands or whatever. Think like Charles Darwin in the Galapagos. They had their naturalist notebook, and when they saw something, they would sketch the character, the thing that they saw. So they're supposed to be sketches. And so like, if you overlook at those old notebooks, if you like, let's say you saw a bird, and it was their first time seeing this bird, you draw the bird, and then around that bird you'd sketch like you get a close-up of its head, and then you see it flying, so you draw it in action as it's flying. And then what you end up with in these old notebooks is like these like bunch of different sketches like on one page, which and annotations and notes which show that bird and then how it's behaving and how it's acting, and you kind of like get the essence of that bird on the page. That's what the Azurite Sea enchanteds are supposed to be. And that's why you see like the character, and then you see like either diagrams or depictions or like a scene playing out around them, because the author of the notebook, I think they're supposed to all be Illumineers, I'm not positive, but is drawing both the character and then the scenario that character is in, or a scene that they see playing out. So it's kind of like an old treasure map. It's similar, like parchment and all that, but like that's what it's supposed to depict, which is super, super cool to me. But again, this is something I think they've they lost until for a couple sets, right? Fabled and Whispers were really beautiful enchantments, and they were very similar in style with the embossing. Winterspell added the glitter, which was super cool. But for those two sets, and even like I would say even in Arcasia's and Return of Jafar, not Return of Jafar, that's a movie, Reign of Jafar, we lost a little bit of using the enchanteds to like draw on the narrative of the set. Whereas it's so strong with Ursula's Shimmering Skies to a degree, although not as much. But then Azurite Sea and Ursula's Return, Azurite Sea. Like the link to the narrative is so strong that I don't know. I really, really like that. We lost that for a little bit. But I would argue we got it back with like the movie poster, Movie Mayhem, and then even the art style of the Enchanteds in Winterspell is kind of like that. I don't know. Yeah, Jane's drawing of Tarzan would have been perfect. Azurite Sea Enchanteds as Reginald. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly what they're going for. Is like Jane's notebook. The problem is with Tarzan is like I don't know whether it's true or not, or the details or whatever, but I've heard, that Disney doesn't have the same ability to leverage the Tarzan property that they used to, so Tarzan might be a stretch, unfortunately. Jacob, yeah, like, the enchanted theming for each set is such a cool thing to go into, and, first chapter in Floodborne, it was kind of like, it was similar, they were just doing the thing, and then you started to see Inklands, you had the Renaissance painting, Ursula's, you had that tie to the narrative. Shimmering Skies is, there's no narrative theme other than it's bright, it's colorful, it's poppy, it's a celebration. Then you get into Azurite Sea with the notebooks, which is really cool. Then you kind of lose it, I think. With Arcasia's Island and Jafar, there are certain enchanteds that, well, I take it back. You have it a little bit in, like, Jafar. They're drawing on, like, classical paintings to a degree. So like Bambi is a perfect example, and when you look at the stylization of some of they're drawing a kind of that like classic motif, but it's not as consistent all the way through. The Jasmine Desert Warrior with the sand, I think, is a great example of how it's tied to narrative as well. I think that's another great one. And then you get into Fabled and Whispers, and you kind of lose it a little bit. It's just that same arts. The art style is here and there. It's very a lot of it's very vivid and realistic, but you have the gold embossing, so you kind of lose that a little bit. Then you get into Winterspell, which is really strong with the paper kind of craft motif, and you get the glitter. And then the Art Nouveau in Wilds, I think, is wonderful, and is another perfect example. That's another perfect example of narrative tied to enchanted design, because the Art Nouveau itself, with its flowing lines and its organic forms, is very Wilds unknown. Here's a fun fact. Sorry, I'm going to end here soon. I'll stop musing. But when we talk about, and that's your question, second, Jacob. When we talk about like Art Nouveau, the Disney Lorcana itself brings together, its modern storybook design brings together two different artistic elements or two different artistic movements. And the art team will say that they're trying to marry Art Nouveau with its flowing curvy lines, its organic forms and framing and all of that, with Art Deco, which is very blocky and it's very, very different. And so through different color languages and different elements of the world of Lorcana, they're trying to leverage both of these movements in the same game, in the same style. Then you apply Modern Storybook, which draws on the very, very like ink washes and solid lines. It's like the storybook design from old Disney films. And here's another interesting note. Sorry, this is a random tangent, but you got me going. Like, so you have Art Deco, Art Nouveau, which come together to help inform the style. You have Modern Storybook, which is the style of all of Disney Lorcana, which is how they bring it together. The underlying like logic of the world is something Shane Hartley has referred to as mage punk, and has used that word. And mage punk means that kind of the logic of the world. imagine a world in which the magic, like Merlin's magic, is based on the same kind of philosophy and tools as like Leonardo da Vinci's inventions. And the implication of that is magic can be harnessed. You can have magical machines. There's the same logic that ties it all together. Magic isn't necessarily mystical. It is kind of, but it can be understood and it can be harnessed and leveraged and crafted. And so in Disney Lorcana, you have Magepunk as the logic with modern storybook layered on top of it, bringing together Art Nouveau and Art Deco. And all of that is the underlying kind of logic for the visual world of Lorcana. And then you apply the ink shape languages. And then, anyway, yeah. So I don't know how I got into this other than to say Art Nouveau, that they really leaned into for Wilds Unknown, is one of the reasons it was so natural is because it's part of the philosophy, like the visual design of the world. And then to see them leverage it really, really strong here is really fun. I wouldn't be surprised, and I think it would be really cool if Hyperia City leveraged Art Deco in the same way that they leveraged Art Nouveau for Wild Unknown. Anyway, I'll shut up. Yeah, so Jacob, the Shimmering Sky, yeah, the card frame, so what you're referring to is saying the first add coloration and, blur of the text area. Yeah, that's, the card frame continued to change. I think that you are correct. I'd have to double check. But the card frame is a different, the design of the card frame goes hand in hand with the design of the art. But they're kind of two separate, not teams working on it, but Shane Smith, I believe, is the one generally who works on the card frames. I might be wrong. But I'm pretty sure Shane Smith is the one who really works on the card frames for the enchantments in most of the set, and he designs most of the card frames. So he is always, working with other elements of the creative team to tinker with the card frame and to tweak it and to adjust it and to move things around and to optimize it so that we get maximum exposure of the art, but that the card is still playable. And that is a very important point, because you could design you could design the Enchanted in such a way that the card doesn't really function as a game piece anymore. You could reduce the text size, you could move things around, you could adjust it so that basically it no longer looks like a TCG card, it's just an art card. But it's very important to the team that the card is still a game piece. But to get it just right, Shane is, I can imagine him, and there are videos of him sitting at his computer, but I can imagine him sitting at the computer and just tweaking things like a little bit. We've all had those moments where we're trying to fit we're trying to hit a page limit on a Word document, right? And we're like 10.9 font. 10.8 font. How does that look, and I can imagine Shane doing that with these card frames, like taking the lore symbol and being like, let me reduce it just a little bit, let me reduce it just a little bit more, and trying to see the optimal point. So every single set, Shane and other members of the design team are tinkering with the card frame in order to have it still be playable, but to maximize and to really highlight the art. So yeah. And yeah, but I think that did start with Shimmering Skies. So the Enchanteds already don't function as a game piece. I mean, are you referring to the curl of the cards, or are you referring to just the fact that nobody wants to play them because they're viable? I don't know. Or that they're not playable cards. Although we're getting more playable cards. Mail-in these playable. By the way, when you look at the new ones, like the new foiling on the card, like the embossing is really, really cool, and they've shrunk the lore symbols down a significant amount, and I really like what they've done with them. They pop really well. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Oh goodness gracious, I should hang it up. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. I'm gonna hang it up here in just a moment. Thank you all for hanging out and watching. I don't do these super often because Frankly, I probably should have been recording a video tonight or something, but I don't know. It felt like a day that there were a lot of emotions and set release weekend, and a lot happened today, and it was kind of fun just to kind of muse about it because I've been thinking my thoughts in my head all day as I read everybody's stuff. So I appreciate you all helping me work through some things. So I appreciate you all hanging out. Appreciate the subs and the follows. If there are any last questions, I'll tackle them. But otherwise, I hope everybody has an amazing pre-release weekend. Grumpy Marshmallow says on YouTube, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I was like, good morning. You must be in a different part of the world than me. And then I looked at the time and I'm like, nope, it is not. It is morning here too, apparently. But I hope everybody has a fantastic pre-release weekend. Keep me posted. Like I always enjoy, seeing your polls, wherever you are, hearing about your pre-release events. I am going to, for a very specific purpose, pull up a link to our Discord server here in a moment, because I do have a fun potato challenge going on this weekend. And it came out of our live show when we were doing ridiculous things. If you happen to pull a potato in your pre-release kit and you play that potato, wow, why is Discord not working? And you play that potato in a pre-release game, you don't even have to shift it. You have to do nothing with it. You just have to be willing to devote one of your precious slots in your deck to this useless item that does no good, simply for the point of winning my silly challenge. If you do that, and you take a picture and you send it to me, there will be some sort of reward. It won't be a good reward. It's not going to be anything crazy. But I'm going to do something. Hold on a second. I'll show you my... I'm trying to log into Discord here. Authenticator. Two-factor authentication is always a good idea. It's also a huge pain in the butt. Heather, do you still here? Do you have a link to Discord? I can't pull it up. Okay, fine. Hold on. Let me pull up my Discord link. Oh, there. Thank you. You're the best. Discord link in the... Thank you. It logged out on my computer. So... yeah, I posted the Discord link because if you want to send me a picture of a potato, you can do it there. Or connect with me there. But no, I bought these... Hold on. I bought plastic potatoes on Amazon to build this thing. And they showed up and they were this big. And it's not what I had in mind. I was going to do like a bigger plastic potato and I was going to sign it. But what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go on Amazon and see if I can find like a pin back. And if I can glue something onto these to turn them into pins, like badges, then I can sign them and write something silly on them, like Potato Challenge winner. And people can wear them as like pins, little potato pins, or like a gym badge. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think that's where my head's at right now. So, the YouTuber, ha! That's funny. That's really funny. Anyway, yeah, so I think you did play the potato. You had to discard it and never got to play it, but you did it for the bit? You played it for the bit? Lauren? Oh, that's a bummer. Oh, hey, if you put it in your deck, all right. If you put it in your deck and you were forced to discard it, and so didn't get to play it, I'll count that. It'd be great to have a picture. Yeah, everybody's showing up to NA champs with their potato badges. That's right. I did actually buy them, Scotty. Yeah, 100%. They were $10 for 30. But I only have like 15 left because my daughter found them, and I don't know where the other 15 went. So, it's a really interesting thing when you do content to try to explain to your daughter that these are like daddy's toys. And daddy needs the plastic potatoes for a thing. You can't take them. One time I bought a Buzz Lightyear because I was going to take some pictures with it for Wilds Unknown, and she decided it was hers. And then later on, I needed filler for my backdrop here, so I put the Buzz Lightyear up here. And I will probably never be forgiven for the moment that she walked into my office here and she looked up and she saw her Buzz Lightyear on my shelf. It was a very emotional moment. So he's no longer up there. So yeah. Anyway. Yep, I'll never find them again. So yeah, check out the Discord if you're here. Still a long goodbye, because I'm doing that potato challenge. It's kind of fun. Yeah, just post pictures there of your potatoes in play at Set Champs, and I'll work out a potato badge here. I'm also doing. I shouldn't talk about t-shirts. I'm doing a limited t-shirt thing, but it's just they're at cost, so. And they're expensive because they're from my local printer and I order them individually. So nobody wants those. I'm going to do some others later that are cheaper. Because these t-shirts are like $40 and nobody wants $40 t-shirts. So anyway, but all it is, thanks so much for hanging out. And hope everybody has a great pre-release weekend. Share your polls, share your events. Let me know how they go. I'm really interested. I am really interested too, for my own content and everything else. I want to hear from you. Like if you have people show up to your pre-release events who are new players. Like what are the size of your pre-release events? How are things going at your LGS? Do you have product? Like if there's anything, abnormal, like let me know. I'm really interested to know how pre-release events go for everyone, how they're going for you. Like keep me posted on Discord or send me a note through any of my socials. And then I probably won't stream again this weekend because I don't usually. But at a minimum, you'll see me next Monday night with Logan, where we're going to talk about the weekend. We will talk all about what happened today again, as well as the rest of release weekend. And I think I'm going to try to get on a couple folks there to talk about the new meta. I've got a couple guests I have in mind, but we're going to try to talk about where we see things sitting now with rotation and now that the set's out, because we're in a whole new world than we were for the last few sets. So all of that. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Jacob, thanks for all the great dialogue and the questions. Heather, as always. Heather, that's a great idea. Let's go do that. We'll make we need a challenge channel. Let's go do that. Gotta create that. And thanks everybody else for helping out, or for hanging out tonight. And yeah, you all are awesome. I'm bad at goodbyes. I'm just gonna hit the button here.